Divine revelations of the Nephilim. Discover the incredible story of faith before the flood. In the days before the flood, as the 3rd year of Jehoiakim dawned upon the earth, a shadow lay heavy upon the land of Mesopotamia. The cries of the oppressed echoed through the valleys, while the laughter of the mighty Nephilim rang out high upon the mountains. Born from the union of the sons of God and the daughters of men, these giants roamed the earth, bringing chaos and corruption wherever they tread. The hearts of men turned cold, and the righteous seemed to vanish beneath the weight of iniquity, yet, among this wickedness, there stood Noah, a man described as righteous in the eyes of Yahweh. His lineage traced back through generations, ultimately to Adam himself, making him a beacon of hope in an era steeped in rebellion. Despite the darkness surrounding him, Noah cultivated his fields with a quiet spirit guiding him, reminding him of the covenant established by his great-grandfather Enoch. As he worked the soil, each seed planted felt like an act of defiance against the tide of evil that inundated the land, but it was not long before Noah received a divine revelation. God spoke to him in a whisper that resonated deep within his soul: "Make yourself an ark of gopher wood, make rooms in the ark, and cover it inside and outside with pitch." Each commandment embedded itself into Noah's heart, and though the task seemed monumental, he obeyed. The villagers scoffed and the Nephilim belittled him, yet the righteous man continued on, driven by his faith in God's promise of impending judgment. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful stories from Scripture. Hit the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share it with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed by how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. As Noah began to gather timber, the weight of his divine assignment bore heavily upon him. He envisioned the colossal ark taking shape, a testament to his obedience amidst rampant disbelief. Each nail he hammered resonated with the urgency of the moment, yet within him stirred a conflict. Could he truly save his family when the world had rejected righteousness? The laughter and revelry of his neighbors mocked him as they continued in their ways, casting skeptical glances at the righteous man building an ark in an endless summer. The heavens seemed silent, thick with anticipation as dark clouds gathered on the horizon. It was then that God commanded Noah to gather his family, for their hearts remained steadfast in faith amid chaos. The promise that they would carry forth the covenant ignited a flicker of hope within Noah, and yet doubt grazed against his heart like the cool winds of change that foretold a coming storm. As he stood at the threshold of the ark, heart racing, eyes raised to the foreboding sky, questions lingered in the air. Was this the culmination of God's ancient promise or the unfolding of judgment upon creation? And as the first raindrops fell, a divine mystery unfolded, a signal of hope and doom mingled together in the rhythm of nature, echoing the solemn truth of the Creator's will. Would the divine plan manifest in deliverance or destruction, as the flood loomed ever closer? The world awaited, and Noah, the righteous man of God, remained poised, navigating the precipice of faith and doubt as he prepared to fulfill his sacred mission. As the rains began to fall in earnest, a weighty silence cloaked the earth. The laughter of men faded, replaced by the incessant sound of droplets striking the ground, falling like despair upon the hearts of the wicked. In the heart of the ark, Noah gathered his family close, their faith interwoven like the wood of the vessel itself. "Come, my sons," he urged, his voice unwavering, "let us pray to Yahweh. He has spoken, and we must hold fast to his promise." Shem, Ham, and Japheth looked upon their father, hearts swelling with reverence. They joined him in fervent prayer, beseeching the Lord for protection and guidance. Inside the ark, the atmosphere thickened with anticipation. The floodgates of heaven had opened, and scenes from the world outside grew increasingly chaotic. The Nephilim, towering and proud, reveled in their might, unaware of the storm brewing not only in the skies but also within the very fabric of creation itself. Their laughter grew distant, drowned by the rising waters. As the earth mourned under the weight of impending judgment, days turned into nights, and as the floodwaters surged higher, Noah stood amid the stillness that enveloped them. The ark, though a fortress of hope, creaked and groaned against the torrent's fury. Yet Noah remembered the words of the Almighty, "But I will establish my covenant with you." This covenant surged through his spirit, a lifeline amidst the roaring chaos. As the floodwaters lifted the ark higher and higher, the cries of the fallen began to echo through the rain. Yet Noah remained steadfast, guided not by fear but by unwavering trust in God. "Look at the storm," he said to his family, "and remember our faith. This is a testimony of his mercy, even as it brings judgment to the earth." Amid the tempest, a dove fluttered from the ark's open window. Noah watched intently, hoping for a sign. The bird returned, weary yet unburdened, without any token of land. Another week passed, and again the dove took flight. Yet still, it found no resting place. With each passing day, the fear of despair threatened to creep into Noah's heart. But he was reminded of the promise inscribed upon his soul, the assurance that beyond the darkness, the light of the covenant would shine anew. And as he cast his gaze upon the horizon of grey clouds, he heard the gentle whispers of God affirming his eternal plan. That it was on the 7th day of the following week that the dove returned, and in its beak clutched a freshly plucked olive leaf. Hope swelled within Noah and his family, and they recognized the sign, a flicker of God's providence amid wrath. Soon, Noah proclaimed, his voice trembling with the weight of realization, "The waters will recede, and we shall behold the earth through the lens of mercy restored." Yet the words hung heavy in the air. Would they be ready to fulfill the command of the Lord when the time came? As the rain began to wane, a faint light pierced the clouds, stretching far and wide. The echoes of the past whispered through the corridors of time, and within the heart of Noah stirred the dawning of a new covenant, a promise awaiting revelation. "Behold, the rainbow shall be a sign," the whispered promise stirred, "and all creation shall know that I will never again flood the earth." As the light broke through, Noah's spirit soared, yet a flicker of divine mystery remained. Was this the first sign of God's reconciliation to mankind, or merely a prelude to a grand design yet to unfold? As the waters churned around the ark, days continued to meld into one another, and within the vessel, Noah and his family remained steadfast. They shared tales of God's creation, recalling his perfect order and the beauty of the garden before the fall. Each story kindled flickers of remembrance, and laughter, though muted, still resonated in the heart of the ark. Amidst this, Noah felt an urgency within his spirit, a call to inquire of the Lord. He found himself compelled to seek understanding of the covenant that was spoken over him and his family. "Let us offer a sacrifice," he implored, gathering his sons. "In gratitude for the olive leaf, let us consecrate our hearts to Yahweh." With reverence, they prepared the offering, pouring out their hearts in prayer, acknowledging the depth of their unworthiness amidst God's graciousness. The smoke ascended as a sweet aroma before the Lord, and in that moment, a vision enveloped Noah's mind, a glimpse of grace intertwined with judgment. Through the storm's tumult, he perceived the shadowy figures of the Nephilim, remnants of a corrupted humanity. They loomed in his thoughts like warnings etched across the heavens, their wickedness embodying the very defiance that had drawn forth the floods. Noah's heart grew heavy. He knew they were not merely fallen but reflections of the darkness that had infiltrated creation itself. "Yahweh, what are you revealing?" Noah pleaded, the waters continuing to thrash against the stout walls of the ark. The response came not in thunder or lightning but as an inward assurance and understanding that God's judgment was tempered by his mercy. Noah sensed the murmuring of heaven. The truth of the promise was far-reaching. With each ripple of the waters, he recognized the salvation that was secured not just for his family, but for the generations that were yet to be born from them. As the days unfolded, the storm subsided and the skies began to reveal hues of deepening azure. On the 10th day of the month, the earth was silenced, and God's voice pierced the quietude, "Go forth from the ark, you and your family." The command reverberated within Noah's heart, infused with the power of divine intention. Standing at the threshold, a cacophony of emotions washed over Noah. Fear, joy, and uncertainty tangled in his spirit. Before him lay a world transformed, and he was called to step into it, to fulfill God's decree of multiplication and dominion. "My sons," he turned to Shem, Ham, and Japheth, "let us come forth as a testament of his mercy and grace. For even in the devastation, we bear the promise of restoration." Together, they approached the door of the ark, their hearts pounding in synchrony with the rhythm of the Creator's plan. With a firm hand, Noah opened the door and was met with the scent of damp earth mingling with fresh air. Gradually, life began to emerge. The ground was sodden, yet a tender vibrancy arose. He beheld the remnants of a once familiar land, now marked by the hand of divine providence. As they stepped into the new world, a radiant rainbow arched across the sky, vibrant and profound, a celestial declaration of Yahweh's covenant, a testimony that his promise would endure. But as Noah gazed upon the horizon, a question lingered within his soul, echoing the depths of his spirit. What future lies ahead? And will the shadows of the past return to haunt mankind? The hidden requisites of the covenant whispered gently. God's grand design awaited its unveiling, and the pursuit of faithfulness became their new endeavor in the dawn of creation's renewal. As the sun rose upon the new world, Noah's heart swelled with a mix of hope and trepidation. The earth, now bearing the marks of divine judgment, lay before him in a palette of muted greens and browns, a testament to God's mercy in the face of widespread destruction. Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth, for I have established my covenant with you, the Lord had instructed, and Noah pondered the weight of such a command. He took in the sight of his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, standing resolutely beside him. We will honor the Lord's decree, Noah affirmed, his voice steady, but let us not forget the lessons of the past. The shadows of wickedness that once darkened the earth may seek to rise again. With humble reverence, they recalled the sanctity of the covenantal promise. The same God who saved them was also the God who could condemn. As they made their way forward, Noah sought a sign, a guiding light to lead them in righteousness. Let us build an altar unto Yahweh, he said, a decision charged with spiritual significance. A place of gratitude and remembrance, to honor his deliverance and seek his wisdom. With diligence, they gathered stones amidst the remains of the flood. Noah's hands were calloused and worn, yet he worked cheerfully alongside his sons. They constructed the altar, each stone a symbol of their commitment, each movement a pledge to walk in faithfulness to God's instruction. When it was completed, they offered sacrifices upon it, burnt offerings of clean animals and birds, a fragrance rising to the heavens like a prayer of supplication. In gratitude, they poured out their hearts, recalling the stories of their ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, remembering the covenant spoken across the generations. The smoke swirled upward and lifted their spirits, an echo of their own redemption, a resolute declaration of trust in God's enduring faithfulness. In that sacred moment, the heavens opened once more. A voice, gentle yet mighty, resonated in their midst. I will establish my covenant with you, never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth. The clarity of the promise filled Noah with awe, understanding that the rainbow he had seen earlier was more than a sign. It was a sovereign declaration, a visual legacy of hope anchored in God's unyielding character. Yet, within the peace, a shadow flickered. As they gazed upon the broad horizon stretching before them, a glimmer of unease crept into Noah's heart. The memory of the Nephilim did not fade easily. He knew the consequences of disobedience. He had witnessed humanity's capacity for darkness. My sons, Noah began, his voice trembling with urgency, while we have survived the flood, we must remain vigilant. The heart of man is prone to wickedness, and we must foster righteousness in our lineage. As the days grew longer and the seasons changed, the family began to fill the earth, planting and tending the fields, rejoicing in the gift of life anew. Yet Noah remained watchful, for he recognized dark whispers lingering in the patterns of human behavior. And one evening, as he prayed under the starry canopy, he received a revelation, a stirring that unsettled his soul. The Spirit spoke to him in the silence of night, a warning of what lay ahead. The legacy of the wicked is not extinguished. As you nurture the seeds of restoration, so too will you contend against the remnants of the curse. Noah's heart clenched. Could it be that even amidst this new creation, shadows of the past would resurface? Would the world challenge the covenant they had received? As the dawn broke anew over the land, Noah understood one immutable truth: faith would be their enduring fight, the instrument of peace against the encroaching darkness. The sovereign plan of the Almighty was unfolding, and what awaited them would be both a test and a triumph of faith. The mystery of God's design intrigued him, leaving Noah with a pressing hope enhanced by trepidation. what greater purpose does the Lord prepare for those who remain steadfast? What glorious work shall emerge from the ashes of the world's iniquity? As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, Noah continued to observe the land being replenished. The fields bore fruit abundantly, and the animals roamed freely, reveling in the peace of the earth restored. Yet, within his spirit, an echo of warning lingered. He discerned a battle brewing beneath the surface of flourishing creation, a struggle between light and darkness that time would unveil. One morning, under the soft embrace of dawn's light, Noah called for his sons to gather. "Come, my children," he said, his voice steady yet grave, "let us discuss the words of the Lord and the responsibilities that come with them." The family stood attentively, their expressions a mixture of reverence and concern. "While the Lord's covenant assures us of his mercy," he continued, "we must remain aware of the hearts of men. Witness how the people begin to multiply, and I see both promise and peril entwined together." Ham, ever the curious one, questioned, "Father, will darkness rise again? Are we not the chosen remnant?" With a heavy heart, Noah replied, "Indeed, we are chosen, yet even the most favored must guard against the despairing whispers of the past. The hearts of men can turn evil quickly, we must be proactive in instilling within them righteousness." In deep reflection, Shem spoke earnestly, "How do we protect our lineage? How do we ensure that faith persists with each passing generation?" "The answer lies not only in our words but in our actions," Noah affirmed. "We must show them the way of the Lord. Each act of kindness, every teaching of wisdom, is a step toward nurturing faith. We must lead by example, for the battle for hearts is waged daily." Noah led his family in prayer, imploring the Almighty for strength and discernment. As they humbled themselves before God, the weight of their mission became further illuminated. They committed to teaching future generations about the covenant and the nature of divine justice that coexists with love. Days passed, and as they cultivated the earth, darkening clouds began to gather in the distance. The peaceful harmony of creation seemed to shift. Rumors of disobedience whispered among the roots and in the rustling leaves. In hushed tones, the families that had begun to scatter spoke of ancient tales of beings that were neither wholly of flesh nor of the spirit, stirring concerns within Noah's heart. "Let us remain vigilant," Noah counseled. "There are stories of the Nephilim that persist, warriors of renown, yet born of darkness. They walk among us, their hearts stirring discord, seeking to lead the wayward astray." With each meeting with his family around the altar, Noah prayed fervently, beseeching the Lord for guidance. The voice of God echoed in his soul, reminding him that though darkness threatened, a remnant would always remain. Therefore, Noah dedicated each day to building faith, sharing the stories of God's covenant, his deliverance, and the promise of mercy with those who would listen. Amidst this growing burden and responsibility, one night, as Noah gazed heavenward at the starry expanse, he felt moved by the Spirit's urgency. "The shadows of disobedience loom close, and greater testing is yet to come," he murmured. In that moment of solemn realization, a deep sense of divine purpose coursed through him. The flood had washed away the old, but the struggle between good and evil was far from over. It was not merely about survival anymore, but about standing firm in faith amid turmoil. The legacy of their covenant was a beacon of hope that they must uphold together. "Noah," a voice spoke within him, firm yet gentle, "prepare your heart for the trials ahead, for they shall reveal the true nature of those who stand with the Lord. What more must humanity learn before the hour of reckoning?" And so, with faith kindled ever brighter within him, Noah awaited what the future would unveil, sensing that God's sovereign plan was intricately woven into the threads of human choice and divine destiny. The shadows danced on the horizon, yet the promise remained: the mercy of Yahweh would guide them even in the darkest of times. What greater revelation awaited them in this divine tapestry, crafted by the hands of the Almighty? Noah awoke the next morning, the weight of impending trials still heavy upon his heart. The daylight filtered through the clouds, casting an ethereal glow over the garden, yet Noah's spirit was not at peace. He gathered his sons once more, their souls knit tightly in the shared burden of their legacy. "Behold," he began, his voice laden with urgency, "the days are growing dark. Even as the earth flourishes, so too does sin rise like an unchecked vine. We must be vigilant, for the tales of old are not mere fables, they speak a truth that could tear asunder the fabric of our faith. Japheth, ever curious and contemplative, looked upon his father with earnest eyes. What of these Nephilim, father? How can we confront that which we cannot see? Are they not mere whispers in the wind? No, Noah replied, his tone brooking no argument. These beings of renown are forged from the defiance of heavenly laws, and their return signifies a challenge to the covenant we hold dear. If we are to thrive, we must fortify our hearts and mind, for the very foundation of righteousness is at stake. As they spoke, a sense of urgency grew, and it spurred them into action. Together, the family resolved to establish a community that lived by the precepts of Yahweh, calling forth others to join them in the covenant. They raised their voices in prayer, bearing witness to the Lord's desire for a people set apart, holy and righteous in a world quickly succumbing to rebellion. Days turned into weeks, and still, Noah and his sons worked tirelessly to spread the message of faith. The fields experienced a bountiful harvest, yet their labor was stained by the shadows creeping nearer. News of disobedience live in hushed conversations, families turning away from the counsel of their fathers and pursuing the desires of their own hearts. The songs that once echoed in joyous elation of the Creator now morphed into murmurs of discontent and rebellion. Then one evening, as twilight enveloped the horizon in hues of crimson and gold, Noah felt a stirring in his spirit. A darkness presided like a heavy shroud, and he knelt in prayer, imploring God for insight. Suddenly, a vision unfolded before him, a mosaic of anguish and disobedience, a revelation of what lay ahead. In awe, Noah beheld giants, fearsome in stature, leading a multitude astray. Their presence instilled terror, yet he sensed the light of the covenant flickering in contrast to the overwhelming shadow. Lord, he whispered, how shall we stand against such adversity? What strength do we possess to combat the darkness? The voice of God resounded within him, steadfast and reassuring. Fear not, my servant, for I will be with you. In the days of trial, my hand shall shield you and those who cling to righteousness. It is their hearts that will reveal their allegiance, and I shall be with you as a bulwark against the tide. Noah rose from his toils, emboldened by the divine promise. Rallying his sons, he spoke with renewed vigor, we must press on. The Lord has shown us that amid darkness, faith shines brightest. We are called to be a light, that all may see the true path and return from the brink of destruction. As the sun slipped beneath the horizon, casting long shadows across the land, Noah felt the weight of the impending trials hovering above him. The wind seemed to whisper of treachery that lay just beyond their sight. Let us prepare our hearts and seek the Lord with fervency, for soon we shall witness the unveiling of his great plan. With each passing moment, the air thickened with a divine anticipation. The time was drawing near for a confrontation between light and darkness. What desperate struggles awaited Noah and the remnant faithful? Only the unfolding of God's sovereign design would reveal the answer, and the path ahead remained shrouded in holy mystery. The resolve of their faith would soon be tested like never before, and the dawn of destiny approached, tethered to the eternal promises of the Almighty. As dawn broke upon the horizon, Noah awoke with a sense of divine purpose stirring within his heart. The vision from the night deepened in clarity, urging him to prepare not only his family but also the faithful who sought refuge from the corruption spreading across the land. Calling for his sons, he spoke once more, this time with a fervency that echoed the very heart of God's message. Listen well, my sons. The Lord has revealed to me the nature of the peril we face. It is not only the giants who walk the earth, but there are wicked spirits that corrupt the hearts of men and lead them astray. The Nephilim are not merely flesh and blood, they are a manifestation of rebellion against the Creator himself. Shem, reflecting deeply on his father's words, pondered, what shall we do, Father? How do we gather those who have strayed into darkness? There are many who mock at our warnings, laughing at our resolve to uphold the covenant. Noah nodded solemnly, recognizing the truth in his son's words. We must demonstrate love and strength, yet also hold fast to the truth of God. Let us build structures in which our people may dwell, places that speak of sanctuary and hope. Encourage them to forsake the ways that lead to destruction and remind them of the grace found in obedience. Thus, Noah and his sons dedicated themselves to the task ahead. They gathered the resources of the earth, wood and stone while simultaneously speaking to those nearby of the importance of faithfulness to Yahweh. As they toiled side by side, whispers of rebellion grew louder, and with it came threats of ridicule from those lost in sin. Response, Noah prayed earnestly, seeking guidance on how to inspire those around them. As he knelt that evening beneath the starlit sky, the heavens shimmered with the promise of divine presence. "O Lord," he cried, "give us a sign that our labor is not in vain. Show us the hearts of the people, that we might know how to lead them back to you." With the dawn, a chorus of birds began to sing, their melodies piercing the surrounding quietude. As the light of day spilled across the land, Noah felt an inner resolve growing stronger. Words of allure began to spill forth from his lips, reflections of God's promises swirling like the winds above. "Come, all ye who seek the truth. Join us in our quest to honor the Almighty. Shake off the shrouds of oppression that bind you, and return to the everlasting arms of the Lord." A few families approached, eyes wary yet curious, drawn to the zeal of Noah's call. They gathered, hearts heavy with ruin yet yearning for salvation. Then, as the sun reached its zenith, a great tremor rippled through the ground, as if the very earth itself responded to the fervor of Noah's conviction. The atmosphere thickened with tension, and shadows of doubt loomed larger, echoing the warning of the giants who led the hearts of many astray. Noah, sensing the moment's gravity, raised his hands towards heaven, speaking words filled with divine authority. "For those who cling to the Lord, refuge shall bring safety and peace. The shadows of fear and despair will not overshadow the light of the covenant. In righteousness we stand, and in him we shall prevail." With those wordings, a hush fell, capturing the hearts of the onlookers. Each soul felt a stirring, a glimpse of the struggle unfolding not just as a fight against flesh but as a spiritual battle against the darkness that sought to pervade their minds and hearts. Yet in the midst of their resolve, unseen eyes watched and listened. A gnawing trepidation mingled with divine hope as Noah sensed the gathering storm. Though the promise of the Lord loomed bright, the darkness would not yield easily. The hour was drawing near when the hand of God would reach forth, and the forges of rebellion would clash against the tide of righteousness. What raged above them and beyond the veil would soon be revealed, unraveling the very fabric of humanity's fate, as the fate of the covenant people began to intertwine with the unfolding of God's grand design. A reminder that, even in darkness, hope springs eternal. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the land, Noah observed the gathering around him. His heart swelled with a mixture of hope and trepidation as the families, each bearing the weight of their doubts, gathered near the construction of the great ark. Fearful whispers flitted among them, yet there lingered a faint glint of faith igniting in their eyes. The very air seemed charged, as if creation itself awaited the unfolding of God's purposes. Noah took a deep breath, filling his lungs with the scent of newly hewn timber and earth, offering a silent prayer of gratitude. He turned toward the gathered crowd, raising his voice above the murmurs. "Let it be known. The God of heaven holds fast to his promises, and in his mercy, he beckons us to heed his warnings. We must not harden our hearts or turn from what has been shown to us." The people stirred, some clutching at one another, while others began to sob softly under the weight of truth piercing their hearts. Methuselah, the elder of their kin, stepped forward, his voice shaky yet resolute. "Noah, speak to us of this judgment you foresee. How do we prepare when evil surrounds us and the laughter of the wicked echoes through the valley? Our faith grows dim." Noah's resolve intensified at the sight of the elder's plea. "Indeed, the tumult of the world snarls at our steps, but remember, brothers and sisters, God has not left us forsaken. When the flood shall come, it shall wash away the rebellion of man, but those who trust in the covenant will find their lives preserved. It is not merely a vessel of wood we build, but a sanctuary where the righteous find refuge." A ripple of determination surged through the assembly as their hands were lifted in unity. They began to aid in the construction, their hearts realigning toward obedience, emboldened by the pledge of safety in such turbulence. Each plank laid became a testament to their renewed faith, echoing the profound promises made to Adam and Eve in the garden, yet, amid the newfound faithfulness, darkness loomed. That night, as Noah lay nestled in his thoughts, an unsettling dream swirled in his mind. He stood at the edge of a great chasm, observing the Nephilim, their forms grotesque and terrifying, rising from the shadows, taunting him. Your resolve is in vain, old man. All will be consumed in our wake. Noah awoke startled, drenched in sweat, as the echoes of their mockery clung to him like cobwebs. "O Lord," he murmured, prostrating himself in prayer, "deliver us from the fangs of evil. Reveal to me the path that lays ahead, for I am but a man standing against the tide." As dawn broke anew, an awe-inspiring light filled the horizon, illuminating the ark as if God's hand had imbued it with purpose. Staring into the brilliance, Noah felt a reassuring peace wash over him, a gentle whisper cutting through his fears. "Fear not, for I am with you. My covenant will stand, and through you, I shall save a remnant." Before the burning sun could ascend the sky, the shadows grew restless. The laughter of the Nephilim could be heard not in mockery, but in a sinister urgency that hinted at plans of disruption to thwart the faithful assembly. Noah sensed that the battle was not merely for his kin, but for the very souls of mankind. That as he gathered the faithful to stand watch, a thought pierced through his contemplation: the tides of rebellion would mount against the faithful, but the ultimate divine purpose lay in the hearts willing to believe against the odds. The seeds of resistance would loom larger still, as the heavens beckoned to reveal a fierce yet beautiful tapestry of faith, and so it was that God's design began to unfold, enlightening the darkness with the promise of a salvation that no heart could fathom, a deliverance that would echo through generations and cultures, like a secret inscribed upon the very fabric of creation, waiting to weave itself into the lives of his beloved children. As the light of day brightened the horizon, Noah felt a surge of divine purpose coursing through him. He gathered the people, for the ark's construction had become more than mere labor, it was the very heartbeat of their faith. "Brothers and sisters," he proclaimed, his voice steady yet infused with unyielding fervor, "we are not merely builders, we are vessels of hope. Each nail you hammer and every beam you place is a testament to our trust in God's promise of refuge." The families responded to Noah's impassioned call, their diligence renewed, as they worked alongside one another, shoulder to shoulder, with fervor igniting their spirits. With each plank set into place, emerald hope sprung up within them. They were shaping their destiny with their very hands, carving an escape from what was to come. Methuselah, elder and seer, moved among them, encouraging, praying, and sharing stories of past faithfulness, nurturing the flickering flames of steadfastness. Yet behind this unity lay a trembling echo, as the Nephilim prowled the boundaries of their encampment, restlessly drifting between the shadows, waiting for the moment to strike. Their eyes glinted with wickedness, fanning the flames of despair. From within their ranks emerged one, towering and fierce, whose voice rumbled like thunder. "Foolish mortals! Do you think your wooden fortress will stand against the wrath we bring? Your cries shall be left unheard as you sink beneath the waves. Your God is powerless to save you." Noah raised his hand, signaling silence. "Nay. Behold, the Lord of hosts stands with us. I tell you true, our faith is a fortress greater than stone or wood. Our deliverer is mighty, and he cannot be thwarted by your threats." His voice rang through the air, unyielding as iron. The spectators, emboldened by his declaration, stood firmer, hearts synchronized in common belief, but the Nephilim laughed, a sound like the crackling of firewood, mocking and insatiable. "You would challenge us? Look around you, great preacher. The world is filled with sin, wretchedness lies at your very door. Has your God truly spoken? If he were with you, why this despair, why this gathering of the weak?" Suddenly, as the laughter of their foes echoed like lost whispers in the desert, a hush fell over the crowd. The stillness sensed the gravity of the moment as if all creation paused, holding its breath. Noah, seizing the moment, knelt and cried out, "O Lord God of heaven and earth, grant us strength in this hour. Reveal your glory before us, for in you alone do we place our trust." A wind stirred, gentle yet forceful, sweeping across the ground, lifting the people's hearts with a sublime sensation of divine presence. The sky momentarily darkened, and from the heavens, a flicker of light danced upon the waters. "Fear not," came a voice like rolling thunder yet tender like a father's embrace, "for I am with you in your struggle." Their eyes widened as the overwhelming truth began to seep into their weary souls. God was not distant, he was close, shaping their very spirits through the trials they faced. As the burdens of fear began to lift, a deep and abiding peace settled upon them, incandescent hope ignited anew. In that moment, as the Nephilim retreated into the recesses of shadow, Noah felt clarity in his heart, a revelation that the battle would not merely be against flesh and blood but against the very darkness seeking to extinguish the light of faith. And as the gathered faithful returned to their labor, fortified by the nearness of God, Noah sensed a stirring within him, a growing expectation that unshackled hope would flourish in the wake of despair. For soon, the waters of judgment would flood the earth, and from it would arise a remnant, woven together by the very fabric of faith. And thus a thought took root in his heart: could it be that this faithful assembly is but a small part of a greater design, waiting to be unveiled? What if our deliverance reaches far beyond this ark? He felt the weight of mystery hanging in the air, as though God's sovereign plan witnessed upon the horizon was preparing to break forth, breathless and magnificent. Indeed, the dawn of salvation was woven into the very struggles that bound them, a promise that even amidst judgment, grace would unfold, a covenant that sin could not extinguish, shimmering brightly against the backdrop of the coming storm. And so, the days grew heavy with anticipation as Noah and his family labored at the ark, each stroke of their tools resonating with both hope and impending judgment. The atmosphere was thick with an unseen tension, as the echoes of the Nephilim's laughter loomed like a dark cloud over their work. Noah, gathering strength from the words of the Almighty, stood vigilant, ever watchful for the signs of the fate yet to unfold. One evening, while the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the ground, Noah called his sons to him. "Come, my children, let us seize this moment. We must fortify our spirits. Let not our resolve falter in the face of the scoffers, for soon we shall witness the unfolding of God's plan." Shem, Ham, and Japheth gathered around, their faces reflecting both eagerness and concern. "Father," Japheth began, his brow furrowed with contemplation, "what shall we do to prepare our hearts for what is yet to come? The laughter of those who mock our mission grows louder each day." "Indeed," Noah replied, a weighty silence enveloping the moment. "We must cultivate faith as our shield and prayers as our weapons. For although the world around us may swell with corrupt desires, our covenant with Yahweh remains unbroken. Let us offer supplication by night and work diligently by day." Commencing a cycle of vigilant prayer and steadfast dedication, their voices united to the heavens, weaving intercessions for their own hearts and for the land that lay shrouded in darkness outside their endeavor. As the floodgates of heaven silently loomed closer, Noah experienced another divine vision. He beheld a great sea, tumultuous and fearsome, yet amidst the roaring waves, he saw a flicker of light, a singular vessel shining brightly against the ravaging storm. "What does this mean, O Lord?" he implored, seeking clarity in the swirling chaos of his mind. "Trust in me," the voice of God echoed, as a gentle breeze whispered through the air. "For the waters shall rise, and though destruction will wash over the earth, the faithful shall emerge renewed, clad in righteousness and filled with purpose." Days turned into weeks, and the pressing weight of anticipation bore heavily upon Noah's heart. Even as the ark began to take shape, internal struggles weighed upon him, the fears of potential rejection, of doubt clouding the promise that danced just beyond his reach. Yet through it all, he pressed on, encouraging his family with stories of their forefathers who had walked in righteousness. One fateful night, while the winds howled outside like a chorus of despair, Noah gathered his family once again. "Let us remember the covenant," he urged, "for in its embrace lies our hope. The Lord has not forgotten his people, nor shall he abandon us in our despair." As they prayed, a surge of strength coursed through them, and in that moment, the atmosphere shifted, the air thickened with divine promise. "I sense a storm approaching," Noah murmured, feeling the weight of God's presence wrap around them like a protective mantle. And as dawn broke on the morrow, a sight both awe-inspiring and terrifying emerged. Clouds thick and dark, swirling in tempestuous anticipation, cloaked the horizon. With each passing hour, the air crackled with energy, a tangible reminder of the impending flood that would sweep away the wicked. "It is here," Noah breathed, turning to his sons. "Prepare the ark, for the Lord commands it. The time has come." Yet amid the flurry of activity, the laughter of the Nephilim echoed near the periphery, aiming to instill fear and doubt. Unfazed, Noah raised his voice above the throng. "The Lord our God guides us. His covenant shall stand against the tides of judgment." As they worked, a deep reverberation from the heavens rolled forth, a reminder of the cosmic battle that was set to unfold. With each nail driven home, each beam set in place, the very earth trembled beneath the weight of destiny. The time of reckoning drew ever closer, the ark now standing as a monument of faith amid a world spiraling into disobedience. Then, on the seventh day of gathering amid their labor, the skies opened wide, and rain fell like an unquenchable torrent. The sound of the deluge rumbled across the land, drowning out the mockery of the giants who roamed. Undeterred by the power of the Almighty, Noah gathered his family, their hearts intertwined in collective prayer. "Let us remember the Lord's goodness," he urged, his heart both heavy and light. "For within this storm, he will reveal his grand purpose, and upon this ark, we shall carry the weight of a legacy, of hope, and renewal." As the waters swelled, embracing the earth in a cleansing flood, the world outside faded into a cacophony of chaos, the cries of the fallen mingling with the rhythm of divine judgment. Yet within the ark, Noah and his family held fast to the promise, a sanctuary, a life-preserving vessel coursing through the depths of despair. And then, in the heart of the tempest, as chaos reigned outside, the Lord spoke once again, a steady voice whispering to Noah's very soul. "Fear not, for this is the beginning of a grand design, a revelation of the covenant that spans across generations. My people shall rise anew, for through you, the earth will know redemption. Trust in the promise yet to unfurl, for what comes next will echo through the ages." Within the cries of the storm lay a deep mystery, one that lingered in the depths of Noah's spirit, stirring his heart towards the unfathomable truth of God's sovereign plan. What future awaited the remnant preserved within the wooden vessel, and what shadows still lingered, waiting for their appointed moment? Just as light battles against darkness, the tapestry of faith would soon reveal its vibrant hues against the backdrop of impending trials. The unfolding began, and with it, a new history edged ever closer to realization, shrouded in enigma and divine purpose.